So welcome for the week 3. They are going the Oliver twist again, but here right now we are in chapter 42. So in chapter 42, North Claypole and Garrett flee to London after robbing Mr. Sowerberry. And they stop at the Three Claypole Inn, where they meet Frakin and Bernie. Frakin invites North to join his gang, assigning him to rob children, as you can see in the picture. And chapter 43, the North meet Fergin at his home, and the artful doctor has been arrested for attempting to pick a pocket. North's first job is to go to the police station to watch the doctor trial. Doctor joking all the while it convicted and sentenced to transportation. Now hurry back to tell Fraken. In chapter 44, Fraken is visiting Sai when Nancy tries to leave the London Bridge at 11 on Sunday. Sai drags her into another room and restrains her for an hour. When he departs, Fraken asks that Nancy conduct him downstairs. He whispers to that he will have her leave the bread side. If they won, Frakin imagined that Nancy has wanted to meet a new lover that night. that night. He hoped to persuade her to murder Spike and bring her new love into his gang, so he can solidify his control over her. He planned to watch her in order to discover the identity of her new love, hoping to blackmail her with this information. And fucking told No that he will pay for £1 to follow Nancy. The following Sunday, when Sai is away, he takes No to Sai residence. At 11, Nancy leaves the apartment. No follow at a discreet distance. In chapter 46, Nancy meets Mrs. Brownlow and Rose on London Bridge at Leith and led them to a secluded spot. Now she and Nancy begged them to ensure that none of her associates to get into trouble because of her choice to have Oliver. They agree, and Nancy tells them when they will most likely see Monk visit the public house. They hope to catch Monk and force the trust about Oliver from him. Nancy's description of Monk startled Mrs. Brownlow, who appeared to know him. Brownlow begged Nancy to accept the help, but she said that she is chained to her life. He and Rose depart. Nancy cried violently and then head for home, not hurry to Franklin's house. When Sai delivers stole goat to Franklin that night, Franklin and No related the tale of Nancy's trip. Franklin does not tell Sai that Nancy insists that her associate not to get into trouble. In a wreck, Sai rushes home and beat Nancy to death while she begs for mercy. In chapter 48, he threw himself up on the road, on his back, up on the road, and his head it stood, silent, erect, and still a living gravestone with a big tab in blood. In the morning, Sai flee London, seeing suspects look everywhere. He stopped at a country inn to eat. Seeing a blood stain on Sai's head, Salmon grabbed it to demonstrate the quality of his stain remover. Sai flee the inn. He overhears some men talking about the murder at the post office. He wanders the road, haunted by the image of Nancy that eye. A local band catch fire. and Sai had put out the fire. Sai decided to return to London and hide, afraid that his dog, Bull-Eye, will give him away. He tried to drown the animal, but it escaped. Chapter 2 to Chapter 8 analyzes the situation and the character. Although Fagin claimed to be in partnership with his associate and protecting them with a chain for their loyalty, in the end, he manipulated them so that his own self-interest is better served. He watches the people around him with special care and translates his knowledge about them into power. A prime example of the strategy is his hope to use Nancy possible lover to control her through blackmail. Even though he revealed Nancy betrayal of the band caught a silent to side. In the worst, most treacherous lie possible, he described the action in a such way as to inspire murder rate. Oliver Twist explored different variety of justice that served by English court system, special for Gaulish justice and Whigside crime, personal justice were the dominant of consciousness. Justice for sight fullest and most cruel of crime is so most instantly as sight guilt immediately subject him to horrific mental tortures. The passages exploring his mental state are among the most psychologically intricate in the novel. Sight cannot clean himself or Nancy blood, neither figuratively or literally. Unlike Oliver, who spent much of the novel trying to discover his identity, Sai desperately wished to hide his identity. However, his dog Bull-Eye acts as kind of walking name tag. The animal followed him everywhere. In that Sai animal even left his mark and the scent of the crime. His bloodstained footprint covered the road where Nancy is killed. Bolai often functions as the alter ego for Sai. The animal is vicious and brutal, just like the owners of the owner. Sai is trying to kill the dog symbolically and psychologically represent a desire to kill himself, the murderer he has become. In chapter 49, Mr. Brownlow has captured Monk and brought him to the Brownlow home. Monk's real name is Edward Leaford. Brownlow is a good friend of Monk's father, Mr. Leaford. Mr. Leaford was a young man when his family forced him to marry a wealthy older woman. Tory Craig and Tory Shelton flee to Aquatic Island after Fagin and Noel are captured by the authorities. Psyduck show up at the house that served as the hiding place. Psy arrived soon after. Bradley Batch arrived and attacked the murderer, calling for the other to help him. The search party and angry mob arrive demanding justice. Sai climbed onto the door with a rope, intending to lower himself to escape in the midst of the confusion. However, he lost his balance when he imagined that he see Nancy's eye before him. The rope catches around his neck and he falls to his death with his head in an accident fall nose. Oliver and his friend traveled to the town on his bed, with a monk in tow, to meet Mr. Gramblin. Yes, the monk revealed that he and his mother found a letter and a will after his father's death. Both which they destroyed. The letter was addressed to Anne Fleming's mother, and it contained confession from Leopold about the affair. The real starter. If the illegitimate child were a girl, she should inherit the estate unconditionally. If it was a boy, he would inherit the estate only if he committed no legal or guilty act. Otherwise, Mang and his mother would receive the fortune. Upon learning of the daughter's shameful involvement with a married Ed ran away to save her family the same of her condition. And her father died soon thereafter of a broken heart. His other small daughter was taken in by a poor couple who died soon after. Mrs. Malley took pity on little girl and raised her as her knight. That child is lost. Mr. Bubble and Mrs. Bubble confessed to the party in the concealing over his story. Mr. Brownlow ensured that they never hold a public office again. Harry has given up his political ambition and vowed to live a as a poor Clement. Knowing that she no longer stand in the way of Harry's ambition, Rose agreed to marry him. And in chapter 52, Ragin is sentenced to death for his many crimes. On his miserable last night alive, Branlow and Oliver visit him in the jail and cell in the jail cell to find out the location of paper verifying Oliver's identity, which Monk had entrusted to Ragin. In chapter 53, without a strong affection to humanity of heart, and gratitude to that being who called his majesty host, great aptitude is benevolent, happiness can never be attained. Now if pardon before her testify against Prophet, shall he turn to an honest lie and become a successful year? A person who feed cattle before they are taken to market. Branlow arranged for Monk property to be divided between Monk and Oliver. Monk traveled to the New World, where they squandered his share of the inheritance and lived solid life in that land him in prison. Where he died, Branlow adopted Oliver as his son. He lost Burn and Garvey take residence near the rural church over which Harry presided. We have analyzed the long story surrounding Mr. Lawford marriage is told to demonstrate the desperate consequence of a economically motivated marriage. Dickens' romanticism manifests itself in difference between Oliver and his half-brother. Oliver, the child of Leopold love affair, is virtuous and innocent. Monk, the result of an economic marriage, is morally twisted by his obsession with wealth. This obsession with money led him down a long and dark path of the nefarious crime and conspiracy. Though Oliver Twist Dickens criticized the Victorian stereotype of the poor as criminal from birth. However, after a strident critique of the representation of the poor as the hereditary criminal, and he portrayed Monk as a criminal whose nature has been determined since birth. Branlow told Monk, "You, from your cradle, were gall and bitterness to your own father, and all evil passion, wife, and profligacy foster in you. Among evil characters seem less the product of his own decision than of his birth. Perhaps the strongest part of the concluding section of Oliver Twist is left for condition for Oliver inheritance. Lefroy stated in his will that if child were a son, he would inherit it himself only on the stipulation that in his minority he should never have strengthened his name within any public act of dishonor, meaning cowardice or wrong. It seems strange that a father would consign on his child to lifelong property as well as his stammer of illegitimacy if the son ever committed a single wrong in childhood. In the same way that a court is willing to punish Oliver for crime committed by another, Leaford is ready to punish Oliver for any small misdeed, merely because he had his first son marked so much. One contradiction that critics Oliver Twist have pointed out is that although Dickens spent much of his novel openly attacking the retributive justice, the conclusion of the novel is quick to deliver such justice. At the story end, Graham are punished harshly, and Davisley's character are still hereditary to the very end. The only real change is that Oliver now acknowledges as the heredity and entail rather than heredity evil. No one it seems can escape the identity that to him Robert. The real crime of characters like Mr. Bumble and Fracking may not have been misreading or defenseless. Charlie may have been misreading a child who was born for a better life. Yet the conclusion for the forgiveness and tolerance is upheld by treatment of the more minor character like Nancy, whose memory is sanctified, and Charlie Bed, who redeemed himself and enter on a society. The character fact demonstrate that the individual can indeed rest above his or her circumstance, and that is unfortunate but does not have to guarantee on a fortune lie and legal. So, like we can see, this is the summarize of the picture that refer to the activity and the story. So, quote. This is the most important quote in the story. Blessing was from young Charlotte, but it was the first that Oliver had ever had involved up in his head, and through the struggle and suffering he never once forgot. This the narrator described the scene when in en road to London. Oliver came across Dick, a dying boy from the farm, who wished him well with the God blessing. This scene demonstrated the purity both of a boy naturally possesses, taught by the treasure Oliver remained devoted to Dick, and when he achieved security with Rose and Mrs. Brownlow longed to restore Dick. For his part, Dick cared less about his own grim future and followed instinct to show Oliver that as he cared. The boy's compassion and mutual devotion refuted the premier put forth by many characters in the novel that poor people are corrupt and bound for criminality. Quote about the poverty. He should be dispatched to a brand workhouse, where the 20 or 30 other juvenile offenders against the poor law roll about the floor and all day without the inconvenience of too much food or too much clothing. The narrator wants to explain how the system punishes Oliver and other offenders for the crime of being born poor. Throughout Oliver Twist Dickens linked poverty and criminality, but unfortunately children like Oliver have virtually no opportunity to rest themselves and their station. The poor children who don't die on the farm find themselves shipped to the workhouse, where they become entangled in the circle of hunger and poverty. As evident by boys like the Artful Dodger, few decent lines of work existed for poor, illegitimate children. Oliver can only improve himself through the kindness of others who react to his innate goodness. Quote about criminality. And it a great deal better worker that she died. When she did, even she had been hard laboring Bridgewell was transport or hung, which is more likely than either, isn't it? Not Claypole, an apprentice himself, Donald was saying that his mother had not died, she would likely be in prison or hung as criminal. Even the youth side of the North and recipient Charity himself accept the link that Victorian society make between poverty and criminality. That Oliver raised to no bet on attack him in Iraq only validate the fallacy that the people believe. By attacking no, Oliver demonstrate violent behavior which support the idea that poor people like him and his mother are criminal at heart. Quote about the cloud. Wrapped in the blanket, he might have been the child of nobleman or a beggar. It would have been hard for the half-caste strangle to have assigned him his proper station in society. Early in the story, while describing baby Oliver, narrator called into question stereotype of social class as mere construct of society. Wrapped in a blanket, no person examining Oliver could judge of his mother were rich or poor, or upper or lower class. While no distinction mark exists that the identity of the child such as Oliver as a pauper or a bastard, both of these labels sub Oliver's future prospect and the way of society treat him. In that, as the reader learn about the Oliver true identity, his statement became more present. Not was a charity boy, but a workout often now that a fortune had cast in the way, a nameless orphan at home. And even men could point a figure broken that is restore him with the interest. The narrator introduced no Claypole as only marginally placed in higher social class level than Oliver, and yet and explained here by the narrator when he came into contact with the orphan, Oliver immediately delighted in affecting on the younger boy. Quote about identity. We name our foundling in alphabetical order. The last was a S and Trouble. I name him. Was a T twist. I name him. The Beatle, Mr. Bubble, revealed his method for naming the orphan born in the parish. Oliver acquired his name not a representative of his family or her background, but from arbitrary system. The scenario highlights the illusory nature of the Oliver identity. An uncaring man named the boy Oliver Twist on a film. The name itself does not reflect Oliver's character background or significance. The same failure of charity. Much of the first part of Oliver's challenge or organization of charity, run by church and the government in Deacon Town. The system Deacon described was put in place by the Poor Law of 1834, which stimulated that the poor could only receive government assistance if they moved into the government workhouse. Residents of those workhouses were essentially inmates whose rights were severely curtailed by forced or warrantless regulation. Labor was required. Families were almost always separate, and ration of the food and clothing were meager. The workhouse operated on the principle that property was the consequence of laziness and that the dreadful condition in the workhouse would inspire the poor to better their own circumstances. The folly of individualism. With the rise of capitalism during the Industrial Revolution, individualism was very much in vogue as a philosophy. Victorian capitalists believed that society would run more smoothly if individuals looked out their own interests. Ironically, the clearest pronunciation of ed philosophy came not from a legitimate businessman but from the prophet, who operate in the illicit business of the theft and prostitution. He tell no Claypool that a regard for number one whole or us all together, and must do so unless we would all go better in company. In other words, the group interests are best maintained if every individual look out for number one or herself. Purity in corrupt city. Throughout the novel, Dickens confronted the question of whether the terrible environment they depict have the power to blacken the soul and to change it forever. By examining the fate of most of the characters, we can assume that his answer is that they do not. Certainly, characters like Zyke and Fagin seem to have sustained permanent damage to their morals sensibility. Yet even Cell has a conscience which defines itself the aspiration of Nancy I that haunted his mother him after his mother her. Charlie bade maintain enough of the sin of decency to try to capture sight. Countryside idealism. Although the intestine and privation suffered by the poor, Oliver Twist occurs in the city, either the great city of London and provincial city where Oliver is born. When the Mally take Oliver to the countryside, he discovers a new existence. Dickens assert that the people who spend their entire life in the close and noisy place are likely in the last moment of their life to find comfort in the half-imagined memory of sky and the hill and plain. Moreover, the countryside scene have potential to purify our thought and arrest some of the wicked and develop in the city. Main idea of the motive are recurring structure, contrast on literacy divide that can help to develop and inform the test measure them. This is a mistaken identity. The plot of Oliver Twist revolves around the virus and the failed identity that other characters impose upon Oliver, often for the sake of advance of their own interests. Mr. Bumble and the other workout officials insist on the portraying Oliver as the something he is not an ungrateful, immoral papa. Monk does his best to conceal Oliver's real identity so that Monk himself can claim Oliver's rightful inheritance. Characters also deceive their own identity when it serves them well to do so. Nancy pretends to be Oliver's middle-class sister in order to get him back to Kraken, whilst Monk gains his name and poses as the common criminal rather than the ha or he really is. Hiding a family relationship. The revelation of Oliver family tie is among the novel's most unlikely turn. Oliver is related to Mr. Brownlow, who was married to father and sister to Rose, who is his aunt. and to Monk, who is half-brother. The quasi involve this fact as a quiet in believing that represent novel rejected realism of pure fantasy. Oliver is the first believed to be an orphan without parent or relative as the possession that would in that time and place almost certainly seal his down. Yet by the end of the novel he revealed that he has more relative than just about anyone else in the novel. Surrogate the family. Before Oliver finds his real family, a number of individuals saw him as the substitute parent, mostly with limited success. Mr. Man, Mrs. and Mrs. Man and Mr. Bubble are surrogate parents. But horribly neglected ones for the vast number often under their care. Mr. Sowerberry and his wife, while far from ideal, are much more survivable parent and figure to Oliver, and one can even imagine that Oliver might have grown up to be productive citizen under their care. Oliver Fish Oliver Fish is singled out for the special attention and multiple points in her novel. Mr. Sowerberry, Gallagher, and Troy Crockett are command on his particular appeal and it resemblance to a portrait of Anne Fleming provide for clue to Oliver's identity. The power of Oliver Felicio Gomini combined with the fact that Franklin in ideas and Rose are beautiful suggests that in the world of the novel, external appearance usually give a fair impression of the person's inner character. Main idea and symbol are objective in character, figure, and color used to represent abstract idea or concept. Character name. The name of character represents personal quality. Oliver Twist himself is the most obvious example. The name of Twist, though given by accident, alluded to the alterac reversal for fortune that reveal experience. Rosemary name echo her association with flower or springtime, youth and beauty. The Tolkien name it highlight it refer to the chosen profession or the breaking into how. Mr. Bubble name it cannot it blaming and arrogant. Mr. Man her lack of mutual instinct and Mrs. Granwith his superficial grim that can be removed as easily as a whip. Bulleye dog, Bulleye has the full ultimate in a common with honor and its symbolic and symbol of the owner character. The dog figures reflect that represent side own animal like Bruce and after side commander Nancy, Bulleye come to represent side girl. The dog left bloody footprint on the floor of the room where the murder is committed. Not long after Sai becomes desperate to get rid of the dog, convinced that the girl cannot sack the poor Bulai who arrive at the house of Sai and demise before Sai himself does. Bulai name also concur up the imaginary eye which he can't Sai until the bitter end and eventually causes him to hang himself exhausted. London Bridge is a symbol to show that Nancy's decision to meet Branlow and row on London Bridge reveal the symbolic aspect of the bridge in all over trees. Bridge exists to link two places that would otherwise be separated by the uncrossable chasm. The meeting on London Bridge represents the collision of two worlds unlike even to come into contact. The idyllic world on Brownlow and Road and the atmosphere of degradation in which Nancy lives. On the bridge, Nancy is given the chance to cross over the better way of life. Yet the other represent that they reject that opportunity and by the time and three have all lost a bit that impossibility and one is forever. So the key fact, you can see we have the main idea, and then until we talk about the main idea, full title, also ties of work, genre, language, time and place, written, date of first published and publisher, narrator, points of view, tone, intent. This is we talk key fact in the story. And then we have until of the morphic symbol and foreshadowing. This is the back in the story. So thank you very much for paying attention for the our topic in week 3. If you have any question, don't be hesitated to ask me or drop the question on the on Friday when we have the Zoom meeting conference. We can talk generally. If someone shy and talking, so please drop the question in the Telegram or Messenger group or in the Zoom meeting. Thank you very much for paying attention.